Welcome to the Clavis Canonum Wiki. My name is Christoph, and in this tutorial I will guide you how to make the very first steps as a contributor to the Clavis Wiki, namely how to make changes to existing articles and how to insert links. This is the main page of the Clavis Wiki. The server is hosted by the Monumenta Germaniae Historica, and the wiki has been set up by Clemens Radl using the Media Wiki software, the same software that is also used for many other wikis, including most famously the Wikipedia. So technically the Clavis Wiki is similar to Wikipedia and other wiki projects, but we have full control of its functions and, more importantly, its content and the user management. The Clavis Wiki is public, so it can be read by anyone, but registration is by invitation only. So what do you see here? The main page gives you access to the description of the collections, the list of manuscripts, and the bibliography. All this is directly based on Linda Forder-Magal's 2005 Clavis Canonum Handbook, published in the MGH Hilfsmittel series. Many of the descriptions of the collections are identical to those you can find in the book. Others have already been reworked since they were published as part of the Clavis Wiki. Secondly, you have a number of links here which are specifically for beginners. The links in blue will direct you, for example, to a short description of the Clavis project, like here, to a list of suggestions how to contribute to the Clavis as a beginner, and a help page which explains basic issues such as how to insert a link, for example. There also is a wish list where you can tell us what you find missing, and another page is dedicated to typos or similar errors in the Clavis database. The last section is for those of you who offer to contribute new contents for the database. Today we will focus on making your first step as a contributor. So to begin, we have to log in first. The login button is found in the upper right hand corner, and as long as you're not logged in, it will say anonymous, and if you click on it, not logged in. Actually, it depends a bit on the device you're using, what it looks like exactly. On a smaller screen, for example, you may only see the icon, but in any case, you should find the button, and clicking on it will prompt you to log in. If you have forgotten your password or even your username, do not worry. Proceed to log in nonetheless, like this, and choose Forgot Your Password. You can have a new password sent as long as you know either your username or the email address. Username or email address. In this interface, you will only have to enter one of the two and then click Reset Password. Most of you have received an invitation email, and later one or two mass emails are sent around. All these emails went to the address you need here. If that still does not help, please contact me and I will set up a new account for you. So let's go back and actually log in. Enter your username and your password, click log in, and you see the main page of the wiki again. This time your username should appear in the upper right hand corner. The main page is very basic. The upper section contains 5 links, as already mentioned, and all 5 pages essentially mirror the Clavis Canonum Handbook. The section below, as already mentioned, contains a few more links to help pages specifically for new users. So if you're new to the wiki, you may want to have a look here. However, most users of the wiki will be interested in the descriptions of the collections, so let's go there first. Clicking on the blue link here, we are directed to a page which is already essentially a table of content of Linda's 2005 book. It looks a bit differently, but if you know the book, you will quickly see that the entries and even the sequence of the entry is almost exactly the same as in the book. So namely, all collections are arranged chronologically according to the date Linda established for every collection. The only change is that many entries have been split so that every single collection has its own page. For example, Linda described the Novariensis, the Capitula Martini, and the Epitome Hispana all in one article. But in the Clavis Wiki, they actually have 3 separate entries. So there's a link to every single one of them, while in the book there was just one longish article on all 3. Also, there are a few additions. For example, the Collectio Corbeyensis up here. And as it already says in the brackets, it's not in the database, it's not mentioned in the 2005 handbook. But now it does have an entry in the wiki. Let's take a look at the Corbeyensis entry. It's a new entry, so perhaps it's a good place to start improving the wiki, as the new entries are often very basic. The entry here is indeed quite short, and we will make a very minor edit to this article. In order to do this, we have to choose Edit. Once we choose Edit, the page still looks very much the same, but above the text you now have a menu which resembles a very basic word processor. Crucially, you can now place a cursor anywhere in the text and, well, simply start writing or deleting or replacing text as you like. The look and feel is really that of a basic word processor. So we click here at the very beginning of the first sentence and insert Collectio before Corbeyensis, like this. If we want Collectio in italics, we double click on it and now it's highlighted. Choose the italics options from this menu above, italic. And as you might have seen, we could also use the conventional shorthand, Control and I, which you may also know from many word processors. And now Collectio is in italics. You might have noticed already that once I started typing, the Save Changes button turned blue. And that's what we have to do now. We are finished with editing the text and we always have to save our changes. Once we do so, clicking the Save Changes button, we are prompted to describe what we have changed. Well, normally this would be a bit silly to do, but we say we entered Collectio, as this is what we did. We might also check this box because this was indeed a very minor edit. Do not worry too much about these options. It's just kind to leave a kind of description what you've done to future readers, as all changes are documented. So now finally we click Save Changes for good and we're done. So now we're back in the reading mode. We cannot simply change anything by clicking anywhere. And the changes we've made are now visible to any visitor of this page. And actually that was the one thing we wanted to do, to make changes, to save them, and now everyone can read them. let's do a slightly less trivial change. Let's assume you have access to Wolfgang Kaiser's article on the Collectio Corbeyensis, which is mentioned here. I have to look it up myself. And, oh no. Here we go. Yeah, that's the De Gruyter page with the digital version of the article we're looking for. It is indeed the very article mentioned here in the literature list. So what do we do? In principle, what we do now is to edit the article and to insert a link to the article in question in the Savigny Zeitschrift. So we go to the De Gruyter page first. In principle, we could simply copy and paste the URL we find here, but actually I strongly recommend that if you have this option, you go for DOI or similar persistent identifiers, but it really doesn't matter. In both cases, you copy and paste a URL. I will go with this one, the DOI URL. I copy it, and now I choose Edit. Go to where I want the link, right after the bibliographical details. Again, once I hit the space button and having made the very first change, the Save Changes button turned blue, so I can now save the changes already, but not before I have inserted the link. So I will insert the link. I could also type it, of course, and immediately this link is recognized as a link. Therefore you can see that it's blue, and actually there is a link behind this text. This is exactly what we want. It looks exactly like it looks here. So we now click Save Changes. We say that we inserted a link to Kaiser's article. That's specific enough. And again, Save Changes. So that was it. We're now back to the reading mode, and now everyone can see this link, and everyone having access to the Savigny Zeitschrift can indeed follow this link to read the article. That of course depends on whether or not you are logged in from normally your university network, but at least everyone who's logged in a university network, provided the university has indeed the Savigny Zeitschrift, will be able to read Kaiser's articles just by clicking on this link. So that was it for today. I hope that you have followed this tutorial and may even agree that it's very, very easy to make changes to any part of the wiki. You only have to go to Edit, and you always have to save your changes, but once you do so, all your changes will immediately be visible to all readers of the Clavis Canonum wiki.